It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.
And welcome to Road to World Cup 26. It's episode 64. We're recording every couple of days during this, what is turning out to be a magnificent World Cup. And all my fears after the first couple of days have been allayed because the last few days have been a feast of football, culminating last night in England, off to an absolute cracker. I mean, they were superb in the second half particularly. And all the hopes and dreams, all those years of hurt, etc., 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 are they finally coming to an end? I'm your host, Nick Britten, as always. Now, Ken's gone missing. He's missing in action somewhere in Africa, last seen in Morocco. So I don't know where he is. I hope he's all right. I hope he'll be back for Saturday's podcast. But off the bench, we have a fantastic substitute. England fan, so all credit to him. Nottingham Forest fan, so not so much credit for him for that. Mr. Greg May. Hello, Greg. How are you?
Hiya, Nick. Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, it's great. It's great to have you along, and it'd be great to pick apart the game last night, particularly, and also just catch up on the last 48 hours of action, of which there has been plenty. Some good, some not so good. And when we look at the Messi versus Ronaldo battle, there's only one winner in that. First of all, as always, we're going to kick off with a little bit of news. Some news. Now, if you don't live in England, all this will appear rather strange to you. If you do live in England, you'll kind of know what we're going on about here. But over the last year or so, there's been a sort of a big attempt to fly flags, fly the English flag, the cross of St. George. And last year, that cross was kind of hijacked by what people like to call in this country the far right. And now everybody, because we are a very hand-wringing nation, everybody's now going, oh, we can't fly flags, it's extremism and all this kind of stuff. But this is the World Cup, for goodness sake. And Oxfordshire, for those of you who don't know, is kind of west of London. Oxfordshire Council are now taking people to court with brilliant timing. Brilliant timing. Are taking people to court halfway through this World Cup if they are flying England flags. I cannot get my head around this, because when I went to America last year, and there were Americans flying flags everywhere, and they are proud. They're proud to be American. They're proud to be. In this wretched country, sometimes it's just embarrassing, because you put up a flag because you're proud of the country and because you want to support the team for the World Cup, and some hobnob Jobsworth from the council comes and takes it down. Greg, what are your thoughts on all of this?
It's a real shame, isn't it? Because I think any nation, any country should feel able to fly the flag, especially during a major tournament like the World Cup. So it is a bit of a shame. I think, it feels like there should be more serious issues at hand, to be honest, than targeting, harmless use of a flag supporting your team.
Yes, and their point of view is it's not inclusive, and it kind of puts people off who are arriving in this country. All of that absolute lefty nonsense. I mean, to be fair, it's not surprising that Oxfordshire County Council is a Liberal Democrat council. That probably tells you all you need to know. But for goodness sake, it's the World Cup. The optics on this, the timing of this court action is not great. It is not great. And just for goodness sake, just let them get on with it. Come on. Anyway, so that's court action against. I wonder if there's any other country in the world who is participating in this World Cup where the authorities in that country are so embarrassed and so ashamed of their national flag to the point where they're taking people to court for flying it. I bet there isn't. Second bit of news for you, and this is kind of part of a very long-running story which we have visited pretty much every podcast for the last 2 months, and that is the treatment of Iran and Iran's footballers. And we all know that they were not allowed into the US to have their camp there, as was originally planned. They had to decamp to Mexico, even though they're playing their games in the US. And we talked the other day about the fact that they weren't even allowed to stay in the US after the game. So in other words, they had to arrive just before the game and then had to leave straight after the game back to Mexico. News of the last sort of couple of days, really, or even the last 24 hours, that a senior member of FIFA's council has called out the treatment of Iran, saying that it's just simply not fair and they're treated very differently and it's not good enough, etc. Unfortunately, though, this FIFA council official did it all anonymously, and therefore nothing has been done. And this is almost worse. This is almost worse than just going, no, tough, tough. We're clearly in the pocket of America. We'll do whatever America wants. And what is this all about? Greg, what is your sense of how Iran are being treated during all of this, bearing in mind all the politics and everything that's been going on in the last few months?
Yeah, I mean, politics aside, and I know it's tough to do that. If you look at this just as the football tournament that it is, every team should be treated fairly. It's as simple as that. There's been a big fuss about hydration breaks and whether they're needed for all games, and the kind of point of those hydration breaks and why they're implemented in every game is to give each team an absolutely fair standing, which should be the case for just any treatment. And I think what's been happening with Iran and what we've seen, they've been marginalised really, and that shouldn't be fair. It's not fair in the broader context of the competition.
No, it isn't fair. I mean, they drew their first fixture with 2-2 with New Zealand. So they've got off to a good start, a good point. It was a good game and a good result for them. My sense of this is that if you are behind the scenes mopping your brow and going, oh, it's a little bit unfair. Well, listen, the World Cup, teams who go to the World Cup go at the request and the invitation of FIFA. Okay, they have to qualify, but they are there as guests, as invited by FIFA. So FIFA has the power to do something about this. And Gianni Infantino, who we know has got his head so far up Donald Trump's backside that I'm surprised he's not coming out of his mouth, he can do something about this, but he won't. So we're left now with these kind of off-the-record briefings going, oh, isn't it awful, isn't it awful, by the people who can do something about it. So either do something about it or shut up, one or the other.
Absolutely.
One or the other. Anyway, that's the news. A couple of bits of news for you. We'll move on to the exciting stuff now, the football. And England got their campaign underway in sparkling style last night, UK time, elsewhere in the rest of the world, who knows. But it's rare, I think. I mean, England normally kind of do quite well. They've only lost, I think, memory serves me right, a couple of games in the last 30-odd years, their opening games. But the performance last night against high-ranking opponents, they were playing Croatia, who are 11th in the world. They've never played kind of such high-ranking opponents in the first games of fixtures, in the first games of group games, I should say. They were terrific. What did you make of it? A 4-2 win, a scintillating second half. What did you make of the performance overall?
Well, I suppose the first thing to say is it's felt like an eternity we've waited for England to play at this tournament. We're 6 days in, and there's a lot of nerves and a lot of build up and a lot of thoughts about what's this team going to look like under Thomas Tuchel. We've obviously seen some of the warm up games and stuff, but you don't really get a sense of the true squad until the tournament kicks off and they've got that real pressure of competing on the world stage. But overall, absolutely fantastic. I think we got off to a bit of a nervy start, which I think is fair enough, and I think we've seen a lot of those nerves coming out right across the board from all the teams. But no, I think what we could have expected to see a bit of a safe and timid performance from England, and it wasn't that at all. They were brave, creative, and just, I know we're biased, but it honestly was the most entertaining game of the tournament so far.
It was certainly one of the most entertaining games we've seen so far. I think Japan and Netherlands might argue that point in their thrilling 2-2. But I want to just talk about Thomas Tuchel for a second, because every single step of this way, he has surprised people, he's shocked people, he's been his own man, he's done his own thing. from leaving high-profile members of the squad behind to his selection last night, where he went for Stones instead of Gahey, or Conser instead of Gahey. Everybody expected Gahey to play, to his choice of left back and right back, neither of whom have been playing left back or right back during the regular season. We'll come to that in just a moment. But really what I want to focus on is his rousing half-time speech, because it came to pass after the game with an interview with Harry Kane that he had given, and this is Kane's word, a speech at half-time whereby he had essentially gone through them and reminded them that they were too timid, they were too safe, and win or lose, let's do it our way. If we lose, let's go down fighting. We want to be aggressive, we want to be on the front foot, we want to move the ball quickly, all that kind of stuff. And they did exactly that, scoring seconds after half-time. And the fourth goal, by the way, by Marcus Rashford, is one of the goals of the World Cup so far. That back-to-front movement, passing, interaction, interplay was sensational. So my question to you is this. Is Tuchel the new Winston Churchill? Is he the orator of our times, Greg?
Well, I think based on last night's performance alone, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said before, we got off to a nervy start in the first half, and we were giving away possession. We obviously gave away the 2 goals. Something happened, something big happened at half time and changed that, because we were a different side coming out second half. And that kind of first 10, 15 minutes of the second half, it was so entertaining to watch as an England fan. It was just, attack after attack after attack on the Croatian defence. To his credit, their goalkeeper made a series of amazing saves. But yeah, whatever Thomas Tuchel said to the squad at half time, it obviously had the impact that he wanted it to.
Yeah, I know for sure. Yeah, it's worth pointing out. It is worth pointing out that Livakovic, who is the goalkeeper for Croatia, there was a period of the game, wasn't there? There was a period of the second half, not long after we went 3-2 up, where he must have made 5 saves.
Yeah.
And we were absolutely peppering their goal. I don't understand. I mean, if this game had finished 6-2, 5-2 or 6-2, nobody would have argued. But yeah, I mean, fair play, Livakovic. He had an absolutely fantastic game.
Yeah.
No, undoubtedly a star player. Luka Modric, at the age of 40, a lot was made of him. Pulled a bit of strings early on because Croatia got off to a pretty good start in the first 10 minutes. After that, he faded badly, gave away a penalty, getting subbed. It's never great to see one of the game's great players I mean, look, this is not the end of him, but he just didn't impact the game. And Luka Modric has always impacted games against England. He's always kind of been the best player on the pitch.
Yeah. But
not last night, really, was he?
No. It was a poor game from him, really, which, like I say, is a shame to see from such a great player that's had that impact in the past. But I think you've got to respect the maturity of of Croatia's coach in terms of subbing him off, because it's something that we haven't seen in other games. I'm thinking Portugal with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cough. Yeah.
so having that kind of the maturity and bravery to bring off your player who's kind of been a bit of a talisman for the side in the past. I think that's got to be applauded.
No, for sure. Right. Let's get on to England then. Who played well? Who didn't play well? Who are your star men?
I mean, again, might be a bit biased as a Forest fan, but I thought Elliot Anderson had a fantastic game. He's probably, I think the thing about Elliot Anderson is he's on the face of it, he's not necessarily one of the most obvious players you'd look at and say, oh, he's had a fantastic performance. But if you're watching him, which I was, he puts in the miles. He's all over the place. That's the thing about him. He makes himself such a nuisance, and he did last night. I think Thomas Tuchel has been playing him a little bit deeper than he's been playing for Forest, but then also kind of giving him that freedom to just move around wherever he wants to on the pitch, and kind of he responds well to that. I think having that freedom to just be creative anywhere on the pitch, that's how you get the best out of Elliot Anderson. So I thought he had a particularly strong game, and
I don't know why. When I ask you this question, I thought you might say that.
Well,
Forest fan says Forest player was the best player on the pitch. Who would have thought it?
Well, what about you? Who stood out as strong for you?
Well, the two star men for me were Kane and Bellingham, who I thought was sensational. I mean, we know about Kane, but what I thought, and I'm kind of sad Ken's not here for this bit because he does nothing but slag off Harry Kane. He just doesn't rate him. He thinks he's too old, too slow, and not capable of playing at this level. Well, wherever you are in Africa, Ken, listen to this. Kane was brilliant last night. He looks fitter and sharper than I've seen him in the last maybe 2 to 3 World Cups. He was rolling back the years. He was kind of vintage Kane last night, not only in his goal scoring prowess, and he got lucky with a penalty, let's face it, because he didn't know that behind him the Croatian defenders were encroaching, and therefore we got a retake. Or it might even have been because the keeper was off his line. Nobody knows. But there were 2 offences in the area, clear offences, and quite rightly pulled back because, I mean, I think the key to this, because we were talking about it last night when we were watching the game, the key to it was Gvardiol, Manchester City defender, was the key offender on this, and he was the one who got to the ball first to clear it after the penalty was saved. So there's a clear offence there. Didn't make any mistake with the second penalty. His second header was brilliant header from a corner. I mean, but then look at the way he linked for Bellingham's goal just after half time. He was not far off outside of his own area. He was midway between, and he spun the ball in. I mean, it was just superb, Kane was. And Bellingham, likewise, all the talk has been whether it's going to be Bellingham or Morgan Rogers. Bellingham got the nod. He showed what a world-class player he is. He showed what a differentiator he is. And that's great to see because we haven't always seen it in an England shirt. We've seen him come up with kind of key moments here or there. To see him play 90 minutes, or well, not quite 90 minutes, he got sub, but to see him play the majority of the game and be superb throughout, that's a real bonus for England.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth saying nobody had a bad game, and I think the thing that was particularly reassuring was when Tuchel brought on the subs in the second half, and you've got the likes of Saka coming on, Morgan Rogers coming on, Marcus Rashford coming on, and you start to think, you know what? There's some real quality in this squad. We've got real depth and options there, which I thought was lovely to see.
The one thing that slightly worried me, certainly in the opening stage of the game, and indeed in the latter stage of the game when we were 3-2 up and sitting back, allowing Croatia to push us, I'm not convinced yet by this defence. I looked at it last night and I'm thinking, okay, we've got Reece James, right? They're all very good players, right? Okay, they're all. Let's not. This isn't a criticism because they're all excellent players. But we've got a right back. We've got 3 out of 4 defenders who haven't been playing that position or not playing at all during the season. And I think it showed, particularly with Stones and O'Reilly. We've got Reece James, who has played the latter part of the season in centre midfield for Chelsea and moved there to England last night. That was all right. I think we were okay down that side. But I thought down the other side, O'Reilly went missing in action. And I was looking in sometimes thinking he still thinks he's playing for Man City in that midfield role because they were getting at us down that right-hand side. And indeed, that's where one of the goals came from. Stones, I thought, just looked really rusty. He got sat down for one of their goals. He got turned round a couple of times. I don't know. And Pickford hadn't had a couple. Pickford was a little bit shaky in the first, or in the last. Actually, was it the last warm-up game? He's a great keeper. Don't get me wrong. He's a great keeper. He's the man for the occasion. Didn't do much wrong didn't do anything wrong really last night, but still looked a little bit fumbly, I thought, on occasion.
I think he did. He looked a little bit jittery, didn't he? And I think it probably comes down to having that trust in your back four. I think it's probably a little bit of opening game nerves from all of them, and hopefully over the next couple of games we start to see them kind of find their form and confidence really, and I think that'll come back to Pickford as well.
So before we move on from England, based on that performance, Greg, how far can we go in this tournament?
Well, I think there's loads of positives to take from last night, and I think the main one for me is we've come out and we've been brave and we've been creative. I think we can get at least to the semis. To be honest, I think if you look at some of the other teams from this first week, they've only really been kind of Argentina, France, who've been prolific in terms of goals. Germany against Curacao, but you can kind of take from that what you will. Yeah, I think there's loads of positives to take, and I'm gonna be optimistic and say we can get to the semis at least.
Fair, at least. I think at least are the two most important words in that sentence. And it's good to see, before we move on to a break, and we're going to talk about this after the break, it's good to see that the tournament's got sort of top scorers are all scoring. Kane got 2, Mbappe's got 2, Messi's got 3, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And those who we want to see scoring goals are scoring goals, in brackets, not Ronaldo, close brackets. So we'll talk about that in just a moment, but a quick ad break before we do. A couple of ads for you today. This podcast is brought to you. This episode of podcast is brought to you by Broadcast Media Services, BMS, a top 50 UK video production and training company based in Nottingham and London. A mighty fine bunch of people. So thank you for that. It's also bought in partnership with Bionic, the world's most personalized supplements, because your body is unique. Without knowing exactly what your body needs, taking off-the-shelf supplements means you're probably not getting enough of the nutrients you do need, and maybe too much of the nutrients you don't need. I'm looking at your body, Greg. It's looking pretty unique to me. Bionic provide 100%. To be fair, Ken normally does that and makes the joke about me, so I can do that about you today. Bionic provide 100% tailor-made supplements. Imagine that, specifically designed for your body, not just anybody, and crafted to deliver precisely what your individual body needs at exactly the right levels. Click on the link in the show notes for 50% off your first order, and your body will be pleased that it did.
It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.
And we're going to move on to Messi versus Ronaldo. Two of the big names, both playing in a record 6 World Cups. Arguably the two greatest footballers who ever lived. And they got off to very, very contrasting styles. Messi with a hat-trick for Argentina against Algeria, and we talked about that the other day. Ronaldo yesterday was, I don't know if you watched the game, Greg, he just was not involved. I mean, literally, no. Portugal were playing with 10 men. He spent his entire game standing in an offside position, waiting for something that never came, a cross or a through ball, but he didn't do anything. If you look at the stats, he played the full 90 minutes, which was absurd. He had a couple of shots, both of which were kind of near post scuffed efforts. Neither were easy. He only had 25 touches of the ball throughout the entire game, and 2 of those were kicking off. 3, it's just nothing. No involvement or impact on the game whatsoever. Whereas if you look at Messi, 57 touches, 37 passes, he got back, he tackled, he won 3 duels in the middle of the park. So that put him 3rd in the list of Argentinian tacklers. He offered 7 passes. He was all over the pitch. If you look at his heat map, he was sensational. He rolled back the years. It was a masterclass. It was a masterclass. And I think Ronaldo must have looked at that and thought, oh my goodness. But his response for it last night, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And when you look at his overall record, he hasn't scored in like 10 tournament games now. And I don't know why he's playing. Why is he playing anymore? What are you thinking on this?
He has kind of reached that point where he is holding Portugal back. I'm sorry to say it, but I think I think we could do with a bit of maturity from Portugal's coaching team. We talked about Modric and how he was brought off, and I thought that was absolutely the right decision to make in that game. I think they've got to ask the question if Ronaldo's not adding anything to the squad and is kind of actively holding the other players like Bruno Fernandes back, the rest of them back, then why is he on the pitch? What's he doing?
We've got an ultra-talented midfield. It was notable last night in the game that the midfield weren't getting around him. So you could argue that he was very isolated. And essentially, he was up against 4 defenders for most of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still no excuse, I don't think, for... And I don't want to criticise Ronaldo. He is an unbelievable player. I still maintain to this day, having watched football all my life, and there's many years in that he's the most talented football player I've ever seen live. When Man United came to Derby, when came to Pride Park many years ago, you couldn't take your eyes off him. He was like a thoroughbred stallion. But that was then, and this is now. And I think you're right. The coaches have got to do better on this.
Yeah.
They've got to do better. Their job is to coach the team to victory, and it was a blatant failure by Roberto Martinez not to take Ronaldo off. And
is there something to be said, do you think, for having just having a player like Ronaldo who has all of that history in the squad in terms of
100%? Yeah, look at Carlo Ancelotti. He's taken Neymar along for the Brazil squad, not because he thinks Neymar's going to play that much, if at all. He's taken him along because he's Neymar, and he inspires people, and he gives everybody a lift, and he's got the experience and the capability in times of trouble. We've talked a lot on this podcast, Greg, and I'm not obsessed by this, but I think so much about success in the World Cup happens off the pitch. How do you manage 5 days between games? How do you manage downtime? How do you manage boredom when you're all cooped up in a hotel? You need big characters around, which is why I thought Jordan Henderson was such a good selection for England. And so Ronaldo would play that role perfectly. He's a great guy to have around, and put him on a bench and bring him on, for 10 minutes at the end of the game if you need him. I'm not saying he shouldn't play, but this idea that he plays 90 minutes is just wrong.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just wrong. But there we are. And so I think it'd be fascinating to see what happens in the next game.
Yeah,
I bet he plays him, I bet he plays him.
Yeah.
I really do. But there we go. Right, before we end the podcast, heroes and villains for the week. We've finished our first week of the World Cup. I think it's been a scintillating feast of football after my grumpiness of the first 2 days. And Brazil and Scotland particularly, who I just thought should have done better. But look, that was in the past. That was Sunday's podcast. We've done several since then. Who's caught your eye as hero and villain of the week? Who's your hero of the week, Greg?
Hero of the week. For me, it's got to be Messi. I think he brings everything that gets you excited about the World Cup. It's that star quality, and to get a hat-trick and to kind of top Ronaldo's record from 2018. It was just an amazing first game for Argentina. So yeah, he's my hero of the week.
Yeah, he'll be 40 next week, and his 3-goal haul officially moved him as joint top scorer in the history of World Cup goals. 16, Miroslav Klose, which is always a great quiz question because nobody ever got that. People will get Messi, I think, in the future, so it becomes a rubbish quiz question. And what about your villain? Who's your villain of the week?
Villain of the week. It's probably going to be Roberto Martinez. I think just for all the reasons that we've just discussed, for allowing Ronaldo to play the full 90 minutes and not kind of having that wider perspective and maturity to think, is this, recognise that this isn't working for Portugal. I think something's got to change for them. So yeah, he's my villain.
It'd be awful, wouldn't it, if Ronaldo's legacy was he knackered Portugal's chances of winning a World Cup.
It would.
It just feels dreadful to say. I want him to do well. It just last night was the first time I've ever seen him and been unable to defend him.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Right, I'm going to go for my hero of the week. Will be the Cape Verde goalkeeper, Vozinha, who single-handedly kept Spain the favourites or joint favourites, I suppose, for France, to win the whole competition, kept them at bay with a string, at 40 years old, a string of stunning saves. Stunning save. I mean, it was a brilliant thing to watch.
What shift he put in. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. It was superb. So he is my hero of the week and my villain of the week. And we've discussed this already on today's edition and touched on it before, is Gianni Infantino. Now, he could be villain of the week for any number of reasons. And he's been villain of the week most podcasts, I think, if we've done it. This is the first time we're doing it, to be fair. For all manner of reasons of the way FIFA have done this thing. But particularly for allowing the treatment of Iran to carry on as it is, he should hang his head in shame. But there we go. So we enter week 2 of the World Cup. Lots of good games happening. I'm looking forward to seeing Scotland tonight. They play tonight in their second game of the competition. They're playing against Morocco. Who else have we got in today? We've got Switzerland versus Bosnia. Canada are playing Qatar. Czech Republic are playing South Africa. Lots of good games. Oh, where are we now? We're on Friday, aren't we? The time zones are messing me up on it. Mexico, South Korea. We've got United States, Australia's coming up. So lots of good games. Lots of good games to play in the next 48 hours. And Greg, thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's been great to have you on.
Pleasure.
I should say you're much better than Ken, so he can stay in Africa as far as I'm concerned. But no, Ken will be back for Saturday's edition, I hope. If not, Greg, you're back off the bench.
We subbed back in, yeah.
You'll be subbed back in. You're in, you're out. You're in, you're out. You're a little bit like Iran. But until then, everybody, Greg, thanks for joining us. We'll see you all soon. Until we see you again, look after yourselves, look after each other. Goodbye.
It's the Road to World Cup 26 podcast, your deep dive into everything FIFA World Cup every single week. Part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.